Hello, YouTube. It's Beverly, and I'm back. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing good. Well, today I'm here and I'm talking to you about my book again, Gezebel, and we're on to chapter 7. Okay, so if you got the book by now, you already know chapter 7. Things start to change, the tide starts to change a little bit for bad boy Ernest. So let's get into chapter 7, and I'll do a little introductory snippet about what that's all about. So let's get into it. Chapter 7. True to his word, Ernest handed in his registration for his post as student counselor and turned down a raise offered to him as an incentive to stay. Corinne confided in Jeffrey about his brother's irresponsible decision, and Jeffrey promised to help financially until Ernest found employment. Ernest resorted to lounging with associates at upscale pubs. These associates held lofty titles in London's financial sector, wore designer suits, and drove flashy cars. There were lawyers, accountants, financial analysts, and investors that discussed market trends and bounced ideas about investment banking off each other. Ernest tuned in to their conversations when they boasted about the wealth they accumulated from investing in the markets. His ears perked up as they rambled on about how easy it was to gamble with other people's money. It was during one of these happy hour meetings at the pub that Ernest learned his drinking buddies freelanced for an investment firm called the Network and touted themselves as officers of the company. In fact, these associates were exorbitantly paid salesmen whose main goal was to lure corporations, investors, and philanthropists into investing with the firm. They were charismatic experts in their field whose portfolios boasted fiscal management, financial planning, corporate accounting, and competence in operating and working capital. They worked under the direction of Lerwick, the creator of the network. Mr. Lerwick was an arrogant, flashy young man, barely 30 years old, who stood 5'9" with a medium build, scanty hair, and beady eyes. He had a boyish smile that camouflaged his cunning personality and above average intellect. Lerwick was a wheeler, a dealer, a salesman, a hustler. When he was 5 years old, his mother died in a boating accident, and his father never remarried. Instead, he raised a boy to be a replica of himself. As a child, Lerwick here was cut identical to his father's, and the boy dressed in business suits just like his father. His father walked, or rather marched, like a British soldier with his head up and his back straight. Lerwick idolized his father so much that he mimicked his walk, and the nickname Young Lerwick was bestowed upon him. Mr. Lerwick opened a profitable investment business, and he taught his son how to be a savvy investor just like he was. At age 12, young Lerwick worked alongside his father in the business, and by the time his 18th birthday rolled around, he was a cutthroat businessman. The elder Mr. Lerwick's female companions fluttered like butterflies in and out of young Lerwick's life. His father dated beautiful women who weren't necessarily smart, and young Lerwick's opinions about women stemmed from his father's romantic interludes. Women, according to the elder Lerwick, were to be spoiled, cherished, loved, and admired for their beauty. Once the infatuation with beauty was over, it was time to move on to the next. The bird-like pecks on the cheeks and perfumed hugs showered on him by his father's ladies never came close to the nurturing a true mother could give. Young Lerwick graduated from Oxford Brookes at the top of his class with degrees in business and international finance. He insisted on being called Lerwick by his family and friends and denounced his childhood nickname. After graduation, he accepted an enviable position in a finance company where he outsmarted the competition with his talent as an adept investor. 2 years passed, and Lerwick desired a company of his own. He promptly handed in his resignation and set his sights on building a financial empire for himself. Lerwick rented office space in the business district of Liverpool, and the investment firm called the Network was born. He hired a small administrative staff and opened the doors for business. Within 3 years, the network turned a profit, and Lerwick sought out other money making strategies. He was tired of watching other people's money and wanted a change. Lerwick was burned out because he had been in the investment business before he reached his 13th birthday. The network needed a new direction, and he needed to move on to something fresh and exciting. Lerwick's net worth was 5.2 million, and as far as he was concerned, he was dirt poor. He devised a plan to create a foundation within the network, and this idea was the breeding ground for his interest in offshore banking and investing. Lerwick realized that if he turned the network into a foundation, he could walk away with millions. So we're getting into some different type of stuff here in Gezebel. So go on out, get the book, get the book. You're going to love it. I'm going to take you on a tale that's going to blow your mind, and you're going to be just so happy. And then you're going to call your friends and say, girl, you got to get this book that Beverly wrote. Okay? So I will see you. Let's get ready for the next chapter. Okay? And again, I'm just reading bits and pieces of every chapter. So if it gets confusing along the way, that's because you have to buy the book to make sense of the whole thing. Okay, so just remember that. I'm not going to read you every chapter beginning to end. I'm just taking little snippets from each chapter just to get the interest going. Okay, but you really need to go out and get the book, buy the book, so you can get the whole picture. I'll see you in the next run.